So far, just 14 of the 124 people needing residential and respite services due to the pending closure of the Laura Fergusson Rehabilitation services have been found somewhere else to go, according to the Ministry of Health. Checkpoint earlier revealed the trust that offers residential care and respite services, along with rehab for stroke and brain injuries, is shutting its doors in Auckland, Waikato and Whanganui by August, citing a lack of funding as one of the main issues. Some families say there are limited options for their severely disabled children, and uncertainty and poor communication is adding to the stress. I asked Ministry of Health boss Dr. Ashley Bloomfield whose responsibility it is to find the clients somewhere else to go.
We're very happy to take the responsibility, and that's why we have put someone in there to work on a daily basis with them. We've been focused on that since the Laura Fergusson Trust notified us at the beginning of November that they were exiting from the contract.
OK, I want to take a look at respite services. Parents are telling us that they have been offered or shown other providers. One in particular, that they were at a meeting with Geneva, said they had 2 respite beds. How does that maths add up? The parents tell us that there are up to 40 respite clients, and this provider only has 2 beds.
Yes, so Geneva is one of the providers we're working with, and remembering that respite beds are not just used for one individual, so the respite beds will be used for a number of people in the course of a week or a month. So we'll make sure that there is enough respite care for all those who require it.
So of the providers that they're being offered, can you guarantee there are enough spots for the people who need respite facilities?
Well, that's our job, and we've got a great team of people in here and someone on the ground who are working closely with all the providers in the 3 regions. Remember, there's Auckland, Waikato and Whanganui. For anyone who needs respite care, we'll be ensuring that they can access those services when they need to.
Can you understand that the parents are not reassured by what you are saying? They are not reassured that there are sufficient beds and choices for them. What do you say to them?
Well, I think we need to keep working with them, and we need to get them to a position where they are reassured and confident in that. And we take that, responsibility seriously. So, as I say, we've been working with the clients, families and whānau and the range of providers since we were notified by the Laura Fergusson Trust that they were exiting from August this year.
Taikura Trust, who's basically the Ministry of Health's agent for facilitating disability services and assessments, they called a parent this week for a regular review of a child's services. When they spoke to the parent, they didn't even know Laura Fergusson was closing. How is that possible?
Well, I find that a bit surprising. There's been quite a lot of media about the Laura Fergusson Trust closing, and we'll make sure we follow up on that. I'm surprised to hear that, but the key thing here is that we are working with Laura Fergusson Trust directly, and we have a liaison person there on the ground working on a daily basis. So all the families in whānau are aware and know that we are there to work with them to find suitable services for these people once the contract finishes.
Are providers obliged to take these contracts on? Because the other issue that parents have raised is that some of their children are of very high needs, and providers are indicating that they might not want them because of that.
Well, look, that's where we work really closely with providers, and we do this on a daily basis. We've got a good team of people here in the ministry. It's part of our business as usual to work with providers regularly to ensure that the clients they have, whether they are people who are residential or people getting respite care, have the support services they need. And sometimes their needs increase, and so we work with the providers to look at what packages are needed and how those are funded. So that's a regular part of our work, and we're experienced at doing that.
Are you going to have to top up funding to other providers, or is this a cost-neutral equation?
Well, actually, the funding is important, but it's not the main driver here. As I say, what we're really interested in is ensuring people get the support they need and that they are happy to go to a new provider in a new facility. And that's why we have a range of providers we're working with to ensure we get a good fit and that the families in whānau are also happy with that arrangement.
When you talk about a range of providers, I'm slightly confused on that because the parents are telling us they've been offered a choice of 2. So
Well, it will depend what region it is, and at the moment, yes, we're working with other existing providers.
So in Auckland, are you offering them a choice of 2 providers?
I think that is the case. I don't have the detail there, but I do
Right,
have
so
real
only
confidence
2
in my team
providers in
that they'll-
Auckland. What about the other centres? What range of providers are they being offered?
Again, I haven't got the details, but we'll be looking at what the needs are and ensuring that the families in whānau are in touch with, and we're getting them to work with those providers.
So you don't know how many...
Working with existing providers.
Sorry, just to be clear, you don't know how many providers in Waikato and you don't know how many providers families have been offered in Whanganui and only 2 in Auckland?
I don't personally know, but my team does, and we're very happy to send that information through.
Okay. When was the last time you or any other representative from the Ministry of Health spoke to the chair of the Laura Fergusson Rehabilitation Board directly?
Well, I haven't spoken with the chair, but I certainly know that my Deputy Director General of Disability, Audrey Isbister, did, and I offered to actually meet with the board.
Do you know when that conversation was?
The conversation that the DDG, Deputy Director General, had?
With the chair of the board?
Yeah, I suspect there's been a number of conversations. I can find out the exact dates. But look, there's ongoing communication with the Trust. As I say, I have made the offer to meet. That offer stands and my door is always open.
A QC acting on behalf of a disability advocate and some of the families who have Laura Fergusson services has written to the Ministry seeking a number of answers and clarifications. They say they've had no response yet. Why is that?
Oh, well, I haven't seen that particular letter, but I can easily follow that up and find out. Just to reiterate, we're in regular contact with the organisation, and we have a person on the ground there working with the clients and their families in whānau, and our focus is on ensuring they get the services they need past August this year.
Several families have raised your representation on site with us. They're saying that a Ministry of Health person has been present during meetings, did not address them, didn't answer questions and merely took notes. Are they there in a minute-taking capacity?
Well, not in a minute-taking capacity, ensuring that we remain well informed of what's happening there, remembering that we're the funder. The primary relationship is between the clients and their families in whānau and the provider, which is Laura Fergusson Trust. However, we're making sure our people are there so that we have a really good opportunity to provide options for people to transition.
Okay, because you're saying on the one hand that the relationship is between the clients and Laura Fergusson Trust, yet at the beginning of this interview you told me absolute responsibility for rehousing these people and finding other services lies with the Ministry. So who is taking the lead role here? Because a number of the parents feel that the Ministry are not taking an active role.
Well, I have a different view. I think we are taking an active role, very active role, and we have ever since we found out. That's been a huge focus for us. That's why we've put this dedicated person there on the ground. And I just stand by the comment I made earlier on that I'm happy to take responsibility. We take it seriously, and we will deliver on that responsibility.
So has the Ministry spoken directly to each of the families affected by this?
I'm sure that staff have been actually involved and spoken with each of the families, yes.
That was Dr. Ashley Bloomfield. Now, since that interview, some families have confirmed to Checkpoint they still have not been contacted directly by Ministry of Health staff. Dr. Bloomfield told us a range of options have been offered to affected clients. Families in Auckland say they've been given a choice of only 2. Now, Checkpoint asked how many options clients in Whanganui and Waikato have when Laura Fergusson Rehab shuts. The Ministry has refused to provide that information, saying it is commercially sensitive. Dr. Bloomfield also told us in that interview that his staff have spoken directly to the chair of Laura Fergusson's Trust Board, and they offered to provide us with specific details of those conversations. However, the Ministry has subsequently come back to us and said they're unable to provide confirmation of any conversations or meetings with the chair.